Hi everybody, welcome to Mrs. John's another lesson, and this one is about combining forces, and also we're going to look at the meaning of the word equilibrium, resultant force, and also about terminal velocity in this lesson. So whenever you have any object, there's lots and lots of forces acting on it, and it probably acts in all sorts of directions. But to find the effect that these forces have on the object is we've got to add them together or combine them in order to find out, do they cancel each other out, or is there a leftover force? So if you have forces, now because forces are vectors, we've got to take direction into account. So in order to get the resultant force, is you combine them. So if you've got two forces in the same direction, if you add them, like 5 newtons plus 7 newtons, you get 12 newtons acting that way. Okay, but if you have two forces in opposite directions, you've got to subtract them, and you get, so if there is 5 newtons this way plus 7 newtons the other way, you find their difference and put the sign of the larger. So the difference between 5 and 7 is 2 newtons. And what is the direction? 7 is your bigger number and the arrow is pointing to the left, so it's 2 newtons to the left. Okay, now suppose you had 5 newtons this way and 5 newtons the opposite way. So when you add them up, the size of the forces are the same, but they're acting in opposite direction. So when you add them, you end up with 0 newtons. That means the resultant is 0. When you have a situation like this, we say that the forces are balanced. So these are balanced forces. When you have a leftover force, like any of these two forces, we say that the resultant force is not 0, but but it's some number with a direction. So when the forces are balanced, an object that is at rest will continue to remain at rest. An object that is moving will move at constant speed without changing direction. So if it's not changing direction, then it is moving in a straight line. Now, another word for this is equilibrium. So the word equilibrium means balanced forces. That means all the forces up equals all the total force down, total force to the right equals total force to the left. Okay, that's the meaning of equilibrium. Balanced forces. And at equilibrium, the thing can either be stationary or moving at constant speed in a straight line. So based on this concept, there are some questions on combining forces in your yellow booklets, and this is on page 7, and that is our task. One of our tasks for today is to do these questions. There are 4 questions on page 7, and that's what we're doing for today, to be ready by, you don't have a lesson on Wednesday, so to be ready by Thursday. Okay, and the other thing that I want to talk to you is there is another situation when an object is at equilibrium. Let's say when you have, let's say, a parachutist comes from, jumps off the plane, and they don't open the parachute straight away. The moment they jump off the plane, their initial velocity is 0, but they're accelerating towards the ground, so your velocity gets faster, faster, faster. You're going faster and faster because of the pull of the gravity force. Now, because they're falling through air, there is actually air resistance that is acting upwards against the motion, and the faster you go, the greater the air resistance. So the upward force is air resistance, the downward force is the force of gravity because something's falling down, and there will come a speed when the gravity force downwards is equal and opposite to the air resistance or the drag or the lift force upwards. When these two forces acting in opposite direction, when they are equal in size, then you stop accelerating. So the person's still falling down, but falling down at a constant speed. And this constant speed is called terminal velocity. So that's the word. So terminal velocity it's not only for falling downwards, you could be going forwards as well. So if you're driving a car, you keep pressing accelerator, pressing accelerator, you go faster and faster, but what's actually happening, the faster you go, the air resistance is increasing. And so when these two forces become the same, then you can no longer increase your speed, but you go at constant speed, and that is terminal velocity. So you have different values for terminal velocity for different situations. Now, the thing is, when a parachutist opens the parachute, then what happens is your surface area becomes very big, and then your lift force increases even more. So then the person's going to fall down much slower. Okay, so that's what happens. So that's your terminal velocity. Now, another thing that we have to do for this lesson, apart from combining forces, is also to complete this page on balanced and unbalanced forces. So there are different scenarios, and the sizes of the arrows represents the forces in different directions. So if the forces are equal and opposite, then the force is balanced, and the thing, they're either stationary or moving at constant speed. So work your way through this sheet as well. So two things to do for this lesson. One is this sheet on balanced and unbalanced forces, and there's something to fill in over here, which I will again take a photo and put up, load for you. You should be able to do it after having listened to me. And the other thing you do is all the questions on this page on combining forces, and there's always the query sheet for you to write down any queries or questions you may have. Okay, so bye for now.